Well, Nathan Weinland here with Remax Alliance, and we've been getting a lot of questions about what equipment we started off with and why we purchased what we did. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. So now we were using our iPhone for client communication videos going back and forth, client invite videos to different parties and so forth, and it was pretty adequate. The iPhones really do shoot some pretty nice video. However, we kind of wanted to step up a little bit of the framing and so forth, so we went ahead and went with a Joby so that we could put an iPhone attachment on top and then use it as a nice tripod to set up someplace, mount it on a table, it wraps around different things. It's a great little tripod. And carry it out so that when you're video blogging or something, you can just set it out in front of you. And of course, with an iPhone attachment on top, I went ahead and did get a bigger one because we intended to use this with a full-size DSLR at some point. They sell a much smaller one, much more lightweight for an iPhone. So the next step up from our iPhone audio-wise was this really nice little Zoom recorder. This was a great thing. We could set it around, set it close to the subject, and it picked up sound much better. It also came with some little tiny dead cats that went on the end of the microphones to tone down some of the wind noise when we had it outside. This is a great fill-in before we ended up with a full DSLR camera and Rode mics and so forth. And we still use this today. The iPhone only took us so far. We eventually wanted to up our game a little bit and start recording some things that were a little bit higher quality. Really what we wanted to do was move into something that was more cinematic. So we wanted something that was not just top quality or the best quality that we could produce, that actually engaged the viewer more than just the dialogue. So we decided to start looking at cameras, and the one that we selected was Canon's 5D Mark IV. There's a few different reasons for this, besides it was very highly rated and a great fit for what we wanted, but it also shoots 120 frames, giving you some really nice slow motion effects. And that was important to us, thinking as we were doing home tours and so forth, that we could really shoot some maybe water coming out of the faucet or the water feature in the back, show it in slow motion, and really gain a nice look to it. One of the other reasons that I chose Canon was because I had some lenses from a prior camera that I had, kind of like this 24x85 lens that we're shooting with right now. We didn't have to buy a dozen lenses when we jumped in. We already had 2 or 3. That's been a really nice universal lens to shoot a lot of different situations in. Another one that we carried over was this 75-300 zoom lens. I shot a lot of wildlife photography with this, and I was very happy with the quality of it and so forth. Still works great. One of the other lenses that we did purchase with the Canon is this 17-40mm. I wanted a nice wide angle to shoot the inside of houses without getting that bubble eye effect, so that we could go through the house and it would show very nicely but not curve in the walls and look really strange. This has been a good solid lens for that. So another thing that I did was buy a full set of UV filters for the lenses, more to protect the glass than anything. UV filters are very inexpensive. You screw them to the front, and boy, I'll tell you, if you get a scratch or something along that line, you have scratched up a $10 UV filter rather than a $500 lens. So a great investment there. Also a full set of ND filters. ND filters allow you to shoot outside when it's real bright and still make some really fine-tuned camera adjustments. Now, one of the things you're going to want to invest in is a good quality tripod. We had one that was left over from, I don't even remember where, and it had metal legs that kind of, screw tightened, and you'd set up your camera and you'd be talking, it would start to slide off to the side, and it was just time for a new one. So we decided to go with Magnus after really researching a lot of different brands. And what we wanted was something that was really good quality, but not just over the top. I had no idea that there were tripods that went up to the pricing that they do. There's a lot of fluid head tripods. There's a lot of different things along that line which are just priced way out of our budget. So this was a great brand that gave us a nice fluid motion to the turning and so forth, had a lot of tilt options. So one of the next things that we really wanted to do is step up the audio quality of what we were doing. The onboard sound pickup of the Canon is pretty darn good, but if we were outside and it was breezy, you pick up a lot of that wind noise, and we just had to eliminate that. So we decided to go with Rode, as that was a great brand that we had researched, and we went with a shotgun style mic. and have been very happy with it. Rechargeable batteries, which boy, hardly ever need recharged. It came with a dead cat to really block down that noise when you're outside. So the next thing we really want to do is get into some green screen, give us some flexibility so we weren't having to be out on site all the time. We could put up some great backgrounds and have some fun with it with client videos and so forth. So we went ahead and went with a green screen that was of decent quality. It came with 3 different backgrounds and a rack for us to put up. We also went with some compact fluorescent style lighting. Lighting your green screen is very important. I have an entire vlog dedicated to that if you want to check that out. One of the other things that we wanted with the green screen setup was going to be a different lens. So this is the Nifty 50. It's Canon's 50mm lens, and this comes in 3 different varieties, a 1.8, 1.4, and a 1.2. That's the f-stops on them, and that's the depth of field that you're going to get. We went with a 1.4 right in the middle, mostly overpriced. This is a fantastically priced lens. So the next piece of equipment that we invested in was a camera monitor. Now the Canon 5D Mark IV doesn't have a front screen or a flip out, so when I'm talking and so forth, I really can't see myself. And shooting in front of a green screen can be a one-person job. You set it up, you sit down, and you get to talking. But you want to be able to see yourself. So this on-camera monitor was relatively inexpensive. It has a lot of nice features in it. It has a false color feature, which really lets you look at the background and see if your green screen is evenly lighted. It's been a fantastic little piece that we picked up. Another reason we went with this particular monitor is it uses these big Sony batteries, which run for a really long time. They're big camcorder batteries. And I can power the Canon and everything else off of that monitor. It's got a nice DC out that I can plug right into the Canon. Now, one thing you want to be aware of when you use a camera monitor is don't watch the camera monitor. It's so hard not to do. You want to watch yourself in the frame, you want to see yourself, but you sit there and you're staring up above the camera the whole time, and it really looks distracting. So be sure to focus on the lens and not the monitor. When we were doing our walkthroughs in houses and so forth, you get a lot of camera shake when you're just freehanding a camera. So we wanted to start to smooth that out. So we started looking at some image stabilization pieces. So one of the first pieces that we picked up was from Glide Gear here. It's just a handheld glide cam and works great for lighter cameras. That Canon isn't going to do well on this because it uses a counterweight system, and you have to put a lot of counterweight on it in order to offset the weight of the camera, and big heavy cameras don't do well on that. Some of the lighter ones did okay on it. It took a while to balance as well, and you basically just kind of hold the stick and then the camera floats in it, and you just have to smooth it out when you walk. It's a great first step, and it was very inexpensive. So our step up from the Glide Cam was going to be a gimbal, and we researched a lot of the different gimbals, and we settled on the Ronin M. And one of the reasons that we settled on this is because it holds good sized cameras very well. But one thing we were concerned about is that it's got these wide grips on it, and walking through doorways we were worried was going to be a challenge. Luckily, it hasn't been. The grip width on it is much narrower than most of the doors, so you can really get a nice flow as you're moving through the front door and so forth. It's been a great gimbal. It really smooths out our shots. It does take a little bit of a learning curve to get used to exactly how it pans and so forth. And another neat feature of it is that it has a remote, which allows a second user to control the tilt and so forth, so you can get some amazing shots. So this got us up to a point where we had good green screen, some lighting. The lighting was portable. We could take it around on different sites. We had some different backgrounds, and we could shoot indoors really well. We can take the camera out on site. We can shoot some things along that line. But video blogging with this big Canon was getting a little cumbersome. So we decided to try to research and find something else that we could shoot mostly outdoors with. And DJI did our gimbal, and we were really happy with that quality. So we looked at their Osmo Action camera, and it's just a little tiny GoPro looking camera. And I really like the quality of this. It's got a screen right in front so that we can see ourselves when we vlog, and the image stabilization is fantastic. If you're walking along down the street with it in front of you, it really smooths things out. So we've been really happy with being able to expand and get out and about on sites with something much, much lighter. We also bought a little set of ND filters for this as well, and they've been very handy. The latest equipment that we picked up was a nice set of Rhodes lapel mics. And the reason we wanted these is we were out on a site with a contractor talking in a vacant home, and oh my gosh, even with the Rode shotgun mic, it was so echoey, and when we got done, we just thought we got to do something about that. So we went ahead and invested in some lapel mics, and wow, what a great investment. We use them all the time. They're wireless, they've got a great range, and they really clear up your audio quality. We ordered a kit with 2 of the lapel mics in it, so that it was me and somebody else, but I'd really recommend 4 if you can afford them. That really opens up to when you're talking to a couple of different people, maybe you're interviewing a couple of lenders, that everybody that's standing there can have a lapel mic on. It's really gonna up your game as far as that audio quality, and that's what you really wanna shoot for. Now, a few little odds and ends that we picked up is with all this camera equipment and so forth and heading out to sites all the time, we wanted a nice case to put it in. So we chose a Pelican. It had pluck foam. That would hold all the lenses, that would hold the camera, gel lights, everything else that we needed in there, and all those little accessories, camera cards, and so forth. That's been a great little case. We let it get scratched up, it slides around, but I don't have to worry about the equipment that's in it. It's totally waterproof. In case I decide to use it as a surfboard, you never know. We used to have everything in a camera bag, and we were worried that if it got squished or if we dropped it, that we might damage some of the equipment in it. So the surfboard has been awesome. We also have these little gel lights that we've set up. These little guys are great. They are little LED light panels that have a diffuser that clips right onto them, and you can put different gels in there in order to change the color. These little guys go great just to set up little ambient light areas and corners of houses and so forth and really make it pop. We have another larger light panel that we use that you can adjust the color to as well, so you really get a nice wide range of the spectrum. Here's one last nugget for you. Find a need and then find the right equipment to fill it. You don't want to go out and buy a bunch of equipment and say, now what can I do with this? How can I use this to improve my business? When you need better client communications, you buy the right equipment for that. When you want to start upping your game as far as cinematic look on a home tour, find out what the best equipment is for that. That's what we did as we built out our equipment. We just did it as an as-need. What's the next thing we need? Like those lapel mics. We need better sound quality. We researched and figured out how to do it. So I hope this has had some good nuggets for you, and until next time, go out there and make some videos. The reason we decided to go with Canon is because I've had a lot of Canon personal experience. Can I butcher that up a little? Those people can be heard by the almost deaf.
Say this. I can't put it on YouTube then. Why are you looking at me?
I was trying to think of what to say.
Oh.
So that's been a great. That was a great. I talk about that a lot. I say that a lot. Nice little investment. That was great. We love that investment. That was good.
Good investment.
Good investment. Good investment.
Tripod. Sounds good.
So we did.